Audio Renaissance presents The Heir by Barbara Taylor Bradford. Read for you by John Lee.
Part 1. The Deravenels. Dangerous Triangle. Edward was of a gentle nature and cheerful aspect. Nevertheless, should he assume an angry countenance, he could appear very terrible to beholders. He was easy of access to his friends and to others, even the least notable. Dominic Mancini. When the Plantagenets started to kill each other, the downfall of the dynasty began. London Citizen, 15th century. Ah, me, I see the ruin of my house. The tiger now hath seized the gentle hind. Insulting tyranny brings to jet upon the innocent and aweless throne welcome destruction, blood, and massacre. I see, as in a map, the end of all. William Shakespeare, Richard III, Act 2, Scene 4. Chapter 1. It was a compulsion, the way he came down to this stretch of beach whenever he returned to Ravenscar. A compulsion, indeed, but also an overwhelming need to recapture, in his mind's eye, their faces. Their faces not yet cold and waxen in death, but still warm. Neville, his mentor, his partner in so many schemes and adventures. Johnny, his beloved companion of their youth. He had loved them well and true, these Watkins brothers, these cousins of his who had been his allies. At least until a mixture of hurt feelings, overweening ambition, flaring emotions and dangerous elements had intervened and pried them apart. They had become sworn enemies, much to Edward's chagrin, a pain that had never ceased to trouble him. And now Johnny and Neville were dead. Edward raised his head, looked up at the clear blue sky, blameless, without cloud, a sky that appeared so summer-like and benign on this icy Saturday morning in December. Unexpectedly his eyes felt moist. He blinked back sudden incipient tears, shook his head in bemusement, still disbelieving of their tragic end, here on this bit of shingled beach at the edge of the harsh North Sea. How unexpected, how sudden and abrupt it had been. Their motor car had shot off the dangerous winding cliff road, had plunged 600 feet, rolling down the face of the cliffs, crashing onto the rocks below. Neville and Johnny had been thrown out of the car onto the shingle, and they had died instantly. It had been a terrible and unnecessary accident, one which Edward knew had been caused by Neville's festering anger, frustration, and bad temper. His cousin had been furious with him, and he had been driving far too fast, spurred on by raging emotions he could not always control. If only Neville had been handling the Daimler in a normal way, he and Johnny would be alive today, and perhaps they would have been able to reconcile their differences, end their quarrel, come to some sort of rapprochement. In a sudden flash of vivid memory, Edward saw Johnny standing before him, the serious Johnny, so sincere, so wise, full of the Watkins brilliance. Then the happy-go-lucky Johnny, light-hearted and carefree, his handsome face full of laughter and the pure joy of simply being alive. Edward snapped his eyes shut, remembering so much from the past. Memories that haunted him, rushed at him once more, overwhelming in their reality. After a few minutes Edward opened his eyes and placed his hand on his chest. He could not feel the medallion through the layers of heavy winter clothes, but it was there, laying against his skin, Johnny's medallion. 14 years ago, in 1904, Edward had presented a unique medallion of his own design to those men who had helped him in his fight to win back and take over the family business empire. The medallion was a badge of honor, in a sense, to mark their success. It was made of gold and bore the Deravenel family crest, an enameled white rose on one side, the sun in splendor on the other, with the Deravenel motto, Fidelity unto Eternity, embossed around the edge under the enameled white rose. Johnny apparently continued to wear his medallion, despite the differences that had grown between them. This convinced Edward that Johnny Watkins had remained his faithful friend right to the very end. Obviously a man torn between diverse family loyalties, torn between his influential older brother Neville and Edward, his favorite first cousin.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?